go ahead. And I'm going to give microphone to you as well, and I'll do the same thing to Suzanne.
JW, do you want to lead on this? I'm happy to take a
Go
back seat.
ahead, Daniel. I'm just doing the background with the slides
Lovely.
and getting everybody the permissions.
All right, well,
Okay.
here we go. Wonderful. We have here Suzanne Lee. We've met before, and I know you from the Discord and Twitter and so on. David de Jong, we spoke. You're with Patyna, wonderful. And I think you are the brother and partner of Nathie. Anybody know Nathie?
Yes.
Big love for Nathie, gamer. So thank you both so much for joining us today, and I'm really excited about your talk. Actually, on a personal note, I am very, very curious to see where this is at, because my mother is suffering from dementia, and I obviously have a number of VR headsets, and I am a bit reluctant. I don't have the confidence to engage with her, so I want to learn from you maybe how I can get started and maybe, yeah, give her some experiences. And yes, so please, a big round of applause for Suzanne Lee and for David de Jong, coming all the way from Scotland. Such a long travel for you guys here. and really, really looking forward to your talk. Are we good with the slides? Everybody ready?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Good to go.
All right.
So,
I know. So that was it's a pleasure to be here today, and especially at the Educators in VR Summit. And thank you very much for the opportunity to share our experience with you all today. And so, as you know, my name's Suzanne Lee. I'm founder of Pivotal Reality, and we're an agency to help people with immersive technology. And we specialise in VR for dementia. And we've done a lot of research and design into how to create immersive content and apps and experiences for people living with dementia, and that's what we specialise in.
cool. So, I'm David de Jong. I'm from the Netherlands. So we're kind of neighbors. There's only a little ocean in between us. So I work for Patyna. Patyna is an elder care facility in the north of the Netherlands. We have around 2,000 clients, varying from people who live in our elder care homes, people who live at home, people who are recovering from a fall or a stroke or stuff like that, and then they can go back home, or they stay in our facilities. And besides that, I work at this company as a AR and VR advisor at the human technology department. So we try to use new technologies for our elderly, so for our clients and for our caregivers. So it's like making their work easier, making their work better, and also improve the life being of the elderly. So I do that with 5 co-workers, and I'm specialized, or I'm focused on VR and AR. Besides that, what we've spoken before, I'm the brother of Nathie. Maybe you know him. We have a YouTube channel, and at the moment I think we have more than 550,000 subscribers. So the knowledge I get from the YouTube channel, and then the knowledge we get from Nathie, so we fly around the world. We fly to China, to the States, to try new products and games. So how can I translate these games and these experiences and this hardware into a way we can use it for the elderly, so our grandparents, our parents, yeah.
Amazing. So it's kind of an interesting subject to use virtual reality with. A lot of people can be forgiven to not put these two subjects together. So a little bit of context, I guess, around why, for me anyway, why I'm on this path. So I work in a financial institution, and I've been there for 16 years working on internet and mobile banking platforms, and I saw how those have evolved, and I've been very interested in technology and kind of future-proofing my career, I guess, and virtual reality is my absolute passion. You've probably seen me around here Very active on Twitter. I just love everything from the amazing creativity of content creators, use cases, and just fun stuff. But the transition for me into Dementia in VR was that my gran, who now passed away sadly, had the condition, and it was just seeing her and my daughter interacting together. We're talking about an old gramophone type musical system, and my daughter, who was 3 or 4 at the time, didn't really understand what my gran was talking about. And I thought, oh, it was so cool if there was like a 3D model in the room that they could share and they could talk about and touch it and feel it and play it and share the knowledge. And, you know, that was just a missing element. And then it got me thinking about, well, I wonder if virtual reality is already being used for dementia. And this was a good 3 years ago I started all the research. And that's kind of how it all evolved for me in this path. And that's what we've been doing, researching what dementia is. So for anybody in the audience that isn't really sure, it's a syndrome that can affect your memory, your thinking, and your everyday ability to do tasks. There's other symptoms as well. And stereotypically, it's thought of as an elderly person syndrome, and actually that's not true. It's not a normal part of aging, and younger people can develop it too. The stats behind it is the World Health Organization estimates that there are 50 million people across the world currently who have dementia, and they have estimated that that's going to triple by 2050, and there's no cure. So David, what sort of research have you been doing?
Yeah, so I had the privilege to do a master's in health innovation. So we use design research and design thinking to solve problems. So in 2018, I did my master's and I had the privilege to do it at Patyna. And at Patyna, I found there was like this problem they were looking for. How can we make people with dementia less restless? Because like when you have dementia, some people like trying to find something, or even though they're 90 years old, they try to find their mom or their dad or their school friends. So they go back into their memories and they want to go, so like they're going to go somewhere, they want to find somebody, they want to do something that it's not there. So how can we limit that? And then there are like in the studies you can find multiple things that are being used. So nature, certain colors, certain sounds, animals make people with dementia more calm and let them rest more. So I was thinking like, so if I can combine all these things, how do you combine all these things? So normally you can really combine those things, but in VR you can combine different things and you can combine it together. So my research was being done in a small facility inside of Patyna, and I had 10 elderly ladies. And we just started with like a high poly natural environment from Perfect VR and Dreams. We also did the Wave VR, so you go on the bottom of the ocean, there's like a big whale swimming by. So there was like a realistic environment, but then you couldn't experience it in real life. You can sit on the bottom of the ocean. We also used Henry to have something like more fantasy-like. And we also used 360 video of the Dutch landscape and of a harbor, combine it with like music from the old days. So that's like how I started my research in 2018. And then later, so we got the results in, and then I got the privilege to work at Patyna and to expand my research. So in 2019, we had 3 caregivers who got an Oculus Go, and for 6 months they got like the headset and a free account to try different experiences for elderly. Because like the research I've done was like with a small group of people, and they work on a daily basis with the elderly. So our reason was like they know better what the elderly need than me as a researcher does. So they really went in depth. So we found out that 360 video experiences are something that elderly really like. And we thought that elderly would love to go and visit places they wouldn't visit before, but then they want to go back to places there that are familiar. So we found out they wanted to go to Paris because they have been there with like a family member. Or there was this one lady when I went into Perfect VR with End Dreams, she got emotional because she said like, when I was between 20 and 25, I lived with my husband. We lived in Switzerland, and these mountains make me remember that day. I was like walking there in the between the mountains. So like it got a lot of like memories. So like they're really searching for memories and seeing things that are familiar and not like new things. They don't want to try new things or fast things like roller coasters. They just want to experience things they can experience before because they're not able to go outside anymore, go in a plane, fly to Switzerland. So yeah, they want to experience things that are real and close to them, they can relate with.
Absolutely, and we've been doing similar with you, using just kind of generic VR apps and experiences with residents and care homes. And like you say, we used Henry as well, and I used that as a kind of introductory one. If you haven't tried Henry, it's like a cartoon hedgehog, and it's his birthday, and you get to see him, and he's kind of sad because he doesn't have any friends, and it's his birthday, and he's in front of a cake, and he's making a wish to have some friends, and it's really quite a nice story actually. And one of the surprising things from that for me, oh, my headset's gone funny. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes,
Can you
I
still
can
hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine, Suzanne. Just keep on talking. Everyone, if you're hearing her okay, go ahead and give her some hearts. Yes. Okay. Did she just freeze?
Seems like it.
Okay.
Okay, so I can continue from here.
And David, we're on slide 7, just to let you know. It should be on the monitor in front of you.
Yeah, cool, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
So multiple research has been done. So it was really interesting to also see the response of like the elderly, because like the caregivers really, what I said, like they work on a daily basis. They've worked with the elderly, and they saw like remarkable results. So for example, there was this one lady who normally wouldn't speak. And the moment she like put the headset on and she took the headset off, like she started talking about like the memories she had and about she was living in the countryside and talking about her horses. And the other caregivers and the other people there, they were just like surprised how VR triggered like these emotions and like these memories for her, and like she got cheerful and happy, and people like supported her talking. You're back?
Sorry, I had a tech issue. I get kicked out the room with my vision, sorry. What was I saying? I was talking about Henry. Yeah, it was a surprising outcome when we used that on a particular resident, because I was forewarned, if you like, from carers that this particular lady didn't really communicate with other people in the care home. She was quite quiet. She had lost the ability, if you like, to string a sentence together, and as a result her confidence was kind of low and she didn't interact, which was pretty sad. But she was very open to trying VR, a bit hesitant but willing, so that was awesome. And when she was in it, I'm not very good at putting this into words or articulating even, but she started to sing Happy Birthday along with Henry as he blew out his candle, and the carers literally had tears in their eyes. Unbelievable response. They didn't expect it. And not only that, she had a physical response. She was kicking her leg as if she was chiming along with the song, and tapping her thigh, which was amazing. Now that experience alone, I think it's free, and I think it's only short, but that was so powerful. And that's kind of what we've been doing with the generic apps like David, where we've taken residents using 360 to local places that they maybe grew up in, and those, apart from incurring personal stories from residents, and they're like, oh, I remember this, oh, look at it now, and it's changed so much. But also afterwards, when we're in the room together, it creates a topic of conversation. And the more I've been going, the more kind of, we call it in Scotland, banter, which is up for a laugh. And the residents are saying, okay, Jeannie, where are you going to today? Or all these kind of conversations, and people like, oh, I've been in Govan, which is a local town, or I've been under the sea, I can't believe it, I'm over in Arran, all these different places that mean something to these people that they thought they would never be able to see. And that was one of the things on one of the ladies' 102nd birthday. She forever lived in an island called Arran, and we were able to bring her to Arran on her 102nd birthday when she could no longer be fit for travel across a ferry to get there, which was just priceless, to be honest. And that's the sort of stuff that we're seeing, and we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, so that's the interesting part. Like, this is what we see, but like we just, as said before, like for me, especially like working in an elder care facility, I can't just like grab a headset and put somebody with dementia into VR. I think we need to be really careful with like people who are vulnerable. So that's like the first part of my research was being done with people with memory problems, so they could still consent with the research. So they're like in the early stage of dementia, so they could still participate in the research, and also we could get feedback. So the second part of the research was being done by the caregivers, especially by the caregivers, because we believe they work on a daily basis with them, so they know where to proceed and like find different VR experiences and just stop if somebody doesn't feel good. Like maybe you can see it, like the way somebody moves their hand, or like the way somebody is like reacting or breathing. That's like something for me as a researcher who doesn't work on a daily basis with them. I can't see that well. So I think that's really important. And also what I used with the start of the research was like a HMD with a computer, not only to have like a high definition experience, but also to show the other elderly ladies what was going on. Because the moment I spoke about VR, they had no idea what it was. I tried to explain, like it's like goggles you can swim with, but then there's like a TV in there and you can see a different world. So I introduced it as like going on a holiday, and that's also what we discussed and agreed on with the other caregivers to do the research. It's like going on a holiday, going somewhere else without getting into a plane. Because you need to realize these people with dementia, like most of them are older. So the group we did research on was between like 80 and 102 years old. So these are people who didn't grow up with smartphones or tablets. TV is already a new thing for them. So how do you get somebody comfortable getting into VR? Like, even though you don't have a headset yet, how do you explain to somebody who's not familiar with this technology without like scaring them or giving like them a bad experience? So yeah, so the conversation towards like getting somebody into VR, like of course we all know it's like a challenge, even in real life with games and stuff, like people around us, but especially people like who are vulnerable. I think it's really important. How do you tell this conversation? So that's how we started. So getting them into VR, and what I said, like, so we used like a laptop, put it on the table, and I asked like who wants to go first. And there's most groups, there's always one person who wants to go first. So this one lady was like, I want to go first. So she started, and then you could see the others looking at the screen, like what is going on, and me explaining what she was seeing. So as we sometimes like to, or like if you have somebody a new experience, you don't want to spoil too much to have a new experience. But for them, like it was really helpful to, I don't want to say spoil, but like explaining them what was going on the screen, what was happening, what the person was seeing. And also the moment a person was trying VR, when the person got out, She, like, together with her, I explained to the other elderly ladies what she had experienced, what she has been seeing. So she kind of made it also for the group or the rest of the people something they could experience without being or scared or nervous about.
Awesome, and I think that's a really good point to be mindful of if you are considering perhaps using it with your own family member. One of the lessons that I have, similar to David, is just to be cautious. Make sure you know the person, or if you are in a care home situation, that you have the carer involved, because they will know the resident and they will know things like what they're scared of, for example, because a lot of things with virtual or immersive design. One of the symptoms of people living with dementia is spatial depth and navigation is an issue. So ideally, you don't really want to introduce someone straight away to something that they have to move around in themselves. You want to be able to have it in a view-only situation, and things to be mindful of. For example, I said yesterday to David, if there was a rug on the floor, so you had a wooden floor and then a rug on that floor, some people's depth perception might make them think that that's a step, that they have to step over onto that rug, or they might see it as a hole in the ground and it might scare them that they might be falling down. These are sorts of things along the research that I've done that I wasn't really fully aware of. So I would just be mindful of the symptoms that the person has who you're going to be using the experience with, as well as what their fears. I had the carer that I used a specific app with, and it was a BBC one, and it was taking people to see penguins on an island. I believe it was a BBC one. It was a 360, and it was really cute, and everybody in the care home had tried it, all the residents, and then one of the carers said, I've never tried VR, I want to try it. And we put her in it. I didn't do the due diligence because in my head it was a carer and not someone living with dementia. I had let my guard down, but that was a big mistake, because there was a scene in it where you're on a boat and you're very close to the sea, and she was terrified of the sea, and I didn't ask. So make sure you know what people are scared of, and like David says, not spoil the application or experience, but at least tell them what the main points are, and just be mindful that everybody's different, and you should definitely always ask, whether even if they are a veteran, seasoned VR user like David, you should still make sure that they know what to expect.
Yeah, and same with, like, I only do seated experiences, because still people can get out of balance in VR, and especially if you have like older people, you don't want somebody to fall. So we only do seated experiences. There are of course exceptions. If you did like multiple sessions with somebody, then you can see like, okay, maybe this person can stand, but then always stand next to them. Also for me, sometimes I'm holding people's hands, just to make them feel comfortable. I think that's really important. Find a way to make somebody comfortable, and that's like in all of VR. I've been also training caregivers. Just a little side note. And at the moment, we're training 1,400 caregivers at Patyna with a 360 video experience. And then you also see when I attend sometimes the trainings, you can just see some people. I have one picture. You see somebody sitting at the floor, somebody sitting in a chair, somebody sitting in a chair holding another coworker's hand. There's somebody standing next to a wall and holding the wall, and there's like one person just standing just freely. So there's so many different ways. Like, some people want to experience VR just to feel comfortable, because it's still such a new technology, and I think we need to respect that, like, for all the people we let to try VR.
Definitely. So what does the future look like then, David? So we've talked about what we can do now with enhanced experiences. We've got a bit of an echo. So what would you say the future looks like?
So yeah, the future. I think like at the moment, as I've been like demoing VR to a lot of elderly, if you look at the future of VR for elderly, the thing is the hardware is still limiting. Not the possibilities of the hardware, but more like the use of the hardware. VR headsets are designed and made mainly for gamers. That's how it originated. And still, you need a certain background to use like a HMD. Even though it's really easy as an Oculus Go, you just grab it and like it turns on automatically. But for elderly, it's too complicated technology. So what I see like in the Netherlands at least, we have, for example, like iPads that are like have a user interface for elderly. So it's really easy for them to use, and from a distance, a family member or a caregiver can hop into the device and give support and help the person out if they can't find the settings for the volume or stuff like that. So there are also like smartphones like that. So a lot of like things are being created like in the elderly space to make technology easier for elderly. So right now, I don't see anybody being in that space, like making VR user interfaces for elderly or making headsets easier to use for elderly. I understand it's not the main market. So that's like something that's like in the future needs to improve, and that will be really interesting to make like VR headsets accessible. And also content-wise, I think you and me figured out that like there are not there are some great games and experiences. Some are designed like for people with disabilities, but also like made for people to experience, like have a relaxed feeling, be in nature, be at the ocean, stuff like that. So that I think that's already great, but there are not that many, or not. I can't really name one experience that's specifically tailored to elderly. And even though it's like it's a big population out there that is getting older, and also a big part of like our Western, at least Western societies. I think also China and Japan has a really big aging population. So it will be a huge population that wants to like go into these experiences, because there was almost no elderly, unless like there were some examples that didn't like to go into VR. There was even this one lady of 100 who told me, where can I get this? I want my grandchildren to buy me this. And then on one hand, I was like, yeah, great. But then I was like, but then you need your grandchildren to be there. That's great. Like if your grandchildren can be there every day to help you to go into VR. And that's not what we want. We wanted to have it accessible, to have it like on her little table. And the moment she thinks like, I want to meet my friends, or I want to experience this forest I went to as a kid, or this holiday I went to like back in the day, I want to grab that headset and just go in and have like this really easy user interface that can just hop in any experience I want. I think that's lacking. So the future, if I look at the future, the future would look like a world where you can experience VR, and I think you're on the right track with that. Maybe you can explain a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So 100% everything you said, especially along accessibility terms. What we're doing is we have a prototype of a space, like alt space if you like, and we've created a world space. It's not available yet, it's just a prototype, just a shell, where we have a space for doing education and training, like a conference kind of space for people to meet up and talk, because that was one of the things that I found very frustrating actually. So I'm from a working class background. This is a total side project for me, with my family over and above everything and my full-time job. I'm so passionate and driven to do this that I wanted to learn before I started building anything, what exactly do I need to understand building digital tools for people living with dementia. And it shocked me to the point of almost disgusted me, if I can use that word, the cost involved for attending seminars at universities and hear the latest leading research on the condition when you're trying to build a solution that might potentially help people in the future. And they're talking about 50 million people just now in the world, and it's going to triple. We need solutions. So we've created Pivotal Island, which is this space that has a living room, it has a garden, it has a conference centre, and the main island itself. So that's kind of our shell. The vision is that we're going to make it multi-user like this space and have it as like a hub for dementia, not just people living with dementia, but families who have perhaps just received a diagnosis. They want to do their own research. What does this mean? Timeframes, where's the experts? Let's get everybody involved. Where can I go for further support? This technology doesn't limit you to your geographical location. You can connect with the best minds and latest research across the globe. Why we're not linking up just now online via websites, I have no idea. I'm not going to let that happen and be a mistake for virtual reality, so let's start building. So yeah, that's what we're looking at now. As you mentioned, accessibility and controllers is one of the issues for people living with dementia. If they're early onset dementia, then they may be able to put the headset on, if they've got a Quest, for example, and they might be able to go through the different applications, but perhaps controllers are an issue because grip is a symptom of dementia. So hands-free is definitely, as we know, is out there just now, and it's about creating applications and experiences for those, and that's what we're working on. We'd like to fill up Pivotal Island with meaningful, dedicatedly designed applications and experience to help carers, family, education, students, anybody that's interested, and most importantly, people living with dementia. So if anyone wants to help out, you can let us know.
Yeah, it would be great because like these projects or efforts, this is what we need, like in VR for eldercare. It's a shame that like not that many companies see the potential, and then you're doing this like next to your day-to-day job. I think it's really impressive. As I said, like I have the privilege to work for eldercare company and also work for Nathie, so like I have my stuff going on, but like I think it's really impressive what you're doing. So yeah, people from the audience, people who are listening at home or watching from at home, like from a 2D screen, or watching this later back on YouTube or whatever platform, this will be behind us, our contacts. So feel free to reach out and let's have a chat how we can collaborate on this project and make it bigger and make it successful. And yeah, as you said, like the controllers, the stuff like that, that's like a lot of stuff we need to work out in the future, but I think we will as a VR community and industry. So yeah, thank you everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David, and thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much. Can we big round of applause for these guys and the work they're doing? Yeah, lovely.
Thank you.
I made a comment. We had Tom Furness speaking yesterday, and beforehand, I was saying how the community we have here of educators in VR, I think is the biggest community that has an identity in VR at the moment. And I love that fact because I think education takes so many shapes and forms. Like we're all learners, therefore we're all educators as well. Parents are educators, you know, our elders they're teaching us. And so it's kind of, this reminds me, I was going to say it's the killer app for VR is like interaction and education. And we had this challenge, the summit challenge is to come up with a better term than the killer app, to come up with a better term. But the fact that we're all, education takes so many different shapes and sizes, and to hear what you're doing with elderly care, we know it's right down in kindergarten being used. It's being used in medicine, in training. Where isn't it being used? And so thank you so much. Big round of applause for David and Suzanne. Have we got any questions in the room? Any questions from anyone in the room? Remember to use the raise hand button if you do. So we're going to have audience participation. Yes, we do. We have a question here from Serenity. Serenity 3, 2, 1. Your microphone should be good to go. Yes, Serenity,
I'm
do you want to
there.
ask your
I've
question?
moved so you can see me. I've heard. I keep asking music questions in every talk I've been to so far. But I've heard that because I'm a singing teacher, it's my thing. I've heard that particularly if you play music to people that from when they were about 14 years old, that really stimulates memories, and you can get people who have been mute for quite some time starting to sing and talk and all kinds of things. And this applies, of course, to the subject you're talking about. I can imagine. For example, my mother is 78, so if there was in virtual reality a room that looked like a 1955 room, 50s room with music going on from when she was a mid-teen, I wonder what you thought of that idea, or how have you incorporated music into your teaching?
No, so
Well,
so actually, last year I guided a student who did as a project exactly what you were saying. I think it was a room from the 70s, 60s, 70s, and they had like so the decorate. I don't like they decorated a room in the style of the 70s. They had like little photo frames on the walls of him like being younger, and then they were playing his favorite song. And he really liked to be there. So just to go back, so they did like this for a few weeks. They did his research. Then he would they created this world through the environment. He would put on the headset and just be there. So they thought he would go there like maybe to do things or want to experience things. He just want to sit there and just like go back like into his like memory and in his past. The only problem they found like with his research, like how do you scale it? Because you can't build like a 3D environment for everybody. So that's like something they're looking now and trying to like maybe expand this research to find a way that you can make it like for every person. But music is a really big one. As I said, with the 360 video I used with my research. So it's like it's a Dutch song. It's called Tulips from Amsterdam. And then I had this 360 video flying above the tulip fields, and this song is like really extremely popular in the Netherlands. So you would see like every person who had the headset on and watch the video. Some people like go with their fingers like going back and forth or nodding their head. Everybody went in a different state with music. So yeah, music is like super powerful. Yeah.
The other
Thank
thing
you.
with music is it's so tightly regulated with the copyright situation, because especially if you're creating a platform, I've been looking into this, because who has the license and how many licenses do you have and how many kind of permission, if you like, for each song and things. There's a lovely charity in Scotland called Playlist for Life, and they use Spotify in care homes so that they supply care homes with these licenses so they can make their own playlists. But even they are experiencing a lot of red tape to be able to do that, and it's kind of capped for how many licenses they can have and things. So there's still a whole load of legislation, is that the right word? There's a whole load of stuff to kind of work out before we can do that. But I mean, you're absolutely spot on. Music is so powerful.
But to be fair,
could
with the copyright and the legislation, it's still early days for these particular devices. I think when the industry catches on how popular they really are, then the solutions will come. But I wanted to add something to your question there, Serenity. There's a company in the UK called M7 Virtual. I know the guys here in Chester, and they made an experience. It was a 360 film experience, like David was saying, where they recreated the Queen's coronation with music, with sound, with period actors, and they gave this experience to elderly care as well. It just reminded me about it now, and for exactly that reason of the creating the ambience and the sounds and the things in the street to bring the elderly patients or clients, people back to memories they had, and the results I hear, I haven't done it myself, but were astounding. And they're thinking of doing the same for the 1966 World Cup event, the next generation. Let the British relive their glory moment. There
But
you go.
that's good. That's great content. So, but I would love to see like more. Like, so the Coronation was a really nice one. I think they also used like
Yeah.
back in when they made it, like the Google Cardboard I saw. So it's also
Yeah.
like extra accessible. But
Yeah,
then we
yeah.
want more. We want
Exactly.
hundreds of those videos.
Well,
We need.
Well, David, on that note, I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
this is being done anywhere, but I know you're going into care homes. And before I heard about the work that you were doing, I was wondering. I've got a 360 camera and a 3D camera that can live stream. So I was wondering, and I've tested. So you can have the camera streaming in one village, and you can pick it up on your Oculus Quest in the next village. So then you can do it over distance, right? I imagine you were in a care home and your grandchildren were getting married, but you couldn't go, but your grandchild had a camera. You could live stream the wedding, and you could see it in 3D. You could be there remotely, this kind of remote viewing. I think as the 360 and 3D cameras become more popular, we might see a lot more, I think David just dropped out, a lot more content. But David's right, we need more content, and it's on an amateur level, the 360 cameras are a really good place to start. Don't you think, Suzanne?
Absolutely. I've been out with them. I only have a Samsung 360 camera. It's not the best quality compared to today's technology.
But it does a lot, doesn't it?
but
I have it as
works.
well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was able to, one of the residents was brought up in her childhood days in a kind of, this was a
There you
care
go.
home, not care home, a children's home environment.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
went out, she wanted to see footage of that, and I went out to film it for her. And it wouldn't have been possible to see that in VR unless you had that
Yeah.
360 camera. So, and the
Perfect.
name of the company for the Queen's Coronation, as well as people that made it, it's at the Wayback. If you're interested in checking out that.
Right, okay, the way
They're
back.
great.
There you go. Sorry about that. We have another question. Let me see. Who else have we got? We got Panos Cortese. I'm switching your microphone on. Panos, give me 2 seconds. You should be good. All right, Panos, what's your question, my friend?
Okay.
Up on the
Because
rafters there on the...
so my background is in psychology. I use VR. So my question is, because I know that the stimulation of memories recalling relies on multisensory modalities, are you planning to integrate into the VR other sensories like, I don't know, smell, touch, haptics, etc., in order to improve the psychophysics of the VR software? So that's my
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great question. Part of the process of the research I've been doing is trying to measure the actual data set as well. So the likes of eye tracking, what people are looking at and enjoying the most. And I was waiting, I don't know if you've heard of Feel Real Sensory Mask. I bought that on Kickstarter, but sadly it's been delayed because of a US vaping law that Trump stopped, or it's been being debated about just now. I think sense of smell, although if you've seen this mask, it looks pretty hideous, and it can be kind of off-putting, showing people the virtual reality headset by itself, never mind this predator-type nose mask that attaches onto it. So I don't know how people will react. I don't know if people will want to wear it, but I would definitely test it myself. So it was due to come out in August last year, but we are still waiting on updates for that. But yeah, absolutely. The more real you can make virtual reality, I mean, that's the end game, right? You want to do. So,
Absolutely. We got another question here from JW. Lots of questions, guys. This is wonderful. Let me see, JW. You're switching your microphone on in 3, 2, 1. You should be good. There you go, JW. Give us some hearts. Where are you? Oh, there you
I'm
are.
right behind you here. All right. Hello, wonderful presentation. You guys are doing such heart-centered and compassionate work, so thank you so much for doing that. And I wanted to ask a question in regards to applications or experiences that are out there. Is there a list that you would recommend of different apps for, I know you mentioned seated experiences, but in terms of, different apps and experiences for elderly and dementia patients that you would suggest? Like, for instance, I worked with an elderly man the other day, and we did the droid repair app with the Star Wars droid repair. And that was fun. It was a bit challenging getting him to understand how the controls work and all that, but he loves Star Wars, so he absolutely loved being in there and experiencing it. So I'm just curious. I know the Blue, maybe Ocean Rift, different ones, but what would you suggest?
What I figured out the most favorite of all time favorite is Nature Tracks VR.
What's it called?
Nature Tracks VR.
Nature Treks. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can play it on the Quest. You can also play it on the Go. It's like it's a natural environment where you kind of like you can stroll around. You have really nice ambient music, but then you can also kind of control the environment. So you can have like these little balls. It's pretty easy also to you just need one controller. You grab one ball, you throw it, and then for example a tree grows, or there's like some bush or some butterflies or some bees,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and you can also change it into daytime, into nighttime, and rain and sun. And then yeah, I think you have around out of the top of my head like 12 different environments. So what I figured out, people really like that experience, and also
Nature Treks. Okay.
nature tracks. And the cool thing
And
about it is,
just to make sure you're on megaphone, I don't think people are hearing you all the way out there in the nosebleed section. Host tools and then amplify your voice. I would do it for you, but it's not letting me do it. So
okay, now it's
there
better.
you go. Yes, folks, you can
Yeah,
hear him
there
better
you go.
now. Okay.
Cool, cool,
All
cool.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, Nature Tracks VR, and the cool thing about Nature Tracks VR is that it's been created by a nurse. So she found like she wanted to like create something so VR for good, and her husband was a developer for a gaming company. So they discussed this at I imagine, at the kitchen table, and then she was like, I want to build something VR for good to make people like experience things they normally can experience. And he
Hmm.
also jumped on it, quit his job, and now they're having this company and building like Nature Tracks VR. So it's really cool. So that's like the all-time favorite. I don't know what you experienced, Suzanne.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one, but I guess it's really down to the individual and what their kind of
True.
needs and interests are. I
Hmm.
had an elderly gentleman who was just like Star Trek and Star Wars and space obsessed, and he was
Hmm.
delighted to be able to try any and all of the space-related ones, being in the station and floating around, and even the educational ones that take you around the planet. Then, I
Uh-huh.
mean, everybody should try that one for sure. So it
Lovely.
really does depend on them.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I would love to continue this conversation, but we're getting close to the next session. So can we please have a big round of applause and hearts for these guys doing
Thank you.
amazingly wonderful
Thank you.
work for our elders? I think the measure, who said it? The measure of a society is how they look after their elders. Who said that? Was it Nelson Mandela? I think, and that couldn't be more true. So the work you're doing, we all appreciate, because we're all going to be old one day, and then maybe
Sure.
we can benefit from this technology as well. Suzanne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I have one last thing, because it's our first
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
talk together. So can we take
Please.
a selfie with the audience
Yes.
to like memorize and
Yes,
capture this
yes, yes.
moment? It's an amazing moment. Let me see.
Yeah, let's do that.
Turn around.
Oh, I jumped up there. All right, everybody ready? Get some emojis ready for these guys.
Get it.
You ready? Keep them streaming. Keep them coming.
Yes.
Lots of emojis. Come on.
Yay.
As many as you can. There you go. Excellent. Lovely. We got it, David?
Perfect. Yes, got
Lovely.
it. Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right, I think the group
Lucky the room stays open. We've unmuted everybody, but you can go ahead and click
Okay.
on your menu, which is the circle triangle. Go into
Yeah.
where it says events, and you're going to see
Yeah.
the different events there. Go ahead and enter the next one when it's available. Next couple
All right.
ones are going to start in 3 minutes, it looks like here.
Right. Lovely. All right. I'll turn my megaphone off. There you go. Well done, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Hooray.
Okay.
All right, so everybody wants to head out to the globe here, out to the entrance. You can mix and mingle.